Good morning, everyone. I don't know if you've seen a Facebook post or an Instagram post today, but I posted about a story. I posted about a story that I was challenged with by my mentor yesterday about how what was a significant coaching experience in your life and how did they make you feel? And the whole essence of the presentation last night was the emotional role of coaching and the understanding of the journey through emotion that you can create. And it was wonderful, really empowering, so much more to talk to you about that sort of stuff. But the story that came straight into my head was from a former coach of mine who goes by the name of Tyrone Sterry, and he was my junior coach. And so the backstory to this is that, and well, so the end result was that he was the reason why I ended up working with Kenya Rugby. But the backstory of that is when I was 12, I mean, I started playing rugby when I was 8, and I just had this confidence issue. I couldn't tackle. I was great with ball in hand, but anyone coming at me, I just couldn't tackle, and I found it really, really tough. And I'd play fullback and I'd play on the wing because I was really fast. So put me on the wing, and hopefully I could score some tries. But I was no use in the midfield. Um, and I would just miss tackle after tackle after tackle, and it even got to the point where I took a year out of the game because I really just struggled with not being able to tackle. And then when I came back, that was when Ty came and started coaching the team that I was in, and um, one he recognised quickly that I was a hopeless tackler and very charismatic guy, Marmite, some people would say, and but really cared about what he was doing, really passionate about what he was doing. And one session, it was an evening session during the week. He was brought his shoulder pads, gave me his shoulder pads, and then created every drill and a lot of the team practice. Like I was never on attack; I was always on defense, and he micro coached me throughout everything on um, all my tackle technique. Did I miss that one? Why did I miss that one? How did I miss that one? What are the technical elements that we're looking? And it was really like just snippets and 1 point here, 1 point here. But the whole process for me was transformational because it was the first time in my rugby playing career that someone had took me to one side and said, it's okay not to be able to tackle because before it's just you just missed tackles and that was bad. So created this whole negative association towards tackling. And then a fear bias came into tackling where he was like, do you know what? It's okay. It's okay. You're not good at it. So now once acknowledge that, we can actually start getting better at it. And so yeah, he gave me the shoulder pads and I tackled and I tackled and I tackled. And it moved me into a place that I wasn't bad at tackling anymore. It's not that I couldn't tackle anymore. It's that I was learning to tackle more effectively. And and I have to attribute so much of my own personal philosophy to that, just to that one instance. And I was able to make more tackles than I missed after that. And that's another point that comes out of it is that I was on that journey of progress. And some may say, if you've ever watched me play, I never really made any massive shots. Made a few, but I learned within my own realm of tackling. And you know, I've in some games and bits and pieces. I remember playing against Northampton Saints on a Monday night in the second team leagues, and um, Tonga came around the corner running at me. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. Um, but that's a international world class prop, so that's a bit different. But the point that we illustrate here is that for every level that you can attain yourself to, there's always going to be that underlying fear that comes back. Now, when I was now, like playing, I was 6'4", 98 and to 100 kilos or whatever it was playing. I was able to tackle most men. I was able to stop most men. I built myself physically to be able to, and I built myself psychologically to be able to get in the way and learn the technique. Also playing on a wing, I learned to use the touchline really well, and I learned to force people back inside. Um, but from that point, like I was able to find ways of which I could develop, and he was a real starting point to that. He was the real catalyst because how did he make me feel? For that first time, he made me feel important. He made me feel valuable. He recognized me for where I was in my journey and helped me take that step forward. And it's such a valuable tool, such a valuable lesson, such a valuable principle. And I'm so grateful for it. I really am. And it was the first story that came into my mind. And the second part of that story is that, I was the goal kicker at the time. And once we kind of started working on the tackling and we had the player in place and everything was moving forward, we moved on to the next thing. And before one of his games, he came down an extra hour early. And for those of you that listen to this that play and you've got to meet at 12 and you've got family time in the morning, coming an extra hour early is such a big thing that you don't realize when you're young. But giving up that extra hour on your Saturday morning away from your family time to help me goal kick. He did an hour clinic, and at the same time, it made me feel important, made me feel special, made me feel listened to, recognized for me where I was in my journey, and then coach to that level. And that's what I think some of the master coaches are out there that do. And not all of them actually end up coaching England rugby, for example, or in the Premiership. I've been there. I've seen some of those coaches. Those coaches aren't able to do that. And I'll say that from some of the coaches that I've seen, and so and I've seen some top level coaches that coach at the top level. They are unable to coach because they cannot recognize that. And unfortunately, it's because they have never had that in their journey, and their biases shape it in that way. And long as we move forward throughout this story, I'd not seen Ty. I'd seen him on and off for a few years, and we kept in touch. And then I get a phone call from him, and he said, "I'm involved in something here with Kenya Rugby. They need an S&C coach because they couldn't afford it, and do you fancy it?" I was out of work at the time. He knew I was out of work, and he thought of me, and I think that was one of the most valuable parts of that story. Is that at that point in that time, he thought of me, and because he knew that I was able to do that. And it's funny how the universe works, and it's beautiful how the way it all folds out. I never got paid working for Kenya. I never got paid a penny. I got the phone call from Ty. I had a random training program come through. I ended up buying a hot tub. So I was sat in an inflatable hot tub that wasn't even too hot at the time because we got it in the morning. And then he called me, and I'd had a few beers, and Sharky and I were celebrating, my assistant, because it'd be a really good time. I was out of work, but the business and the academy and everything was moving forward, so we celebrated. We needed something to celebrate, and he was like, "Can you get to?" It was a hotel in Kensington. Can you get to a hotel in Kensington tomorrow? It's like, yeah, absolutely. So I was there, and then I've got so many stories to tell about my time with Kenya, which I will do in future episodes, along with everything that we're doing here. And so, one thing I do want to say to you to close this for today, this short, I really hope you enjoy these. I really hope you're listening to them. Drop me a comment. I keep them quite short on purpose, but it's for me to engage with you in a much more vocal way, and a way that you can watch it on YouTube, you can watch it in my Facebook group, you could listen to it on the podcast, whatever way you want to do it, and to hear these lessons, because they're so vital and so valuable that I think the S&C coaching industry loses its way and loses sight of what actually really matters. Now, what really matters is how are you making impact with one person at one time, at one point in their life, and then that's what you can do. So I hope you have an amazing weekend. Have an awesome Friday. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you all. And I'll speak to you soon.